deck week to week. And on the left-hand side, we have Patrick Wong playing Dead Guy Ale, which is a black-white sort of attrition control deck featuring cards like Hymn to Torak and Inquisition of Kozilek, and Bitter Blossom, Dark Confidant, Stoneforge Mystic, Mother of Runes, a couple Planeswalkers. So a deck that's more dedicated about trying to attrition their opponent out and then sweeping up the rest of the game with either Batterskull or Dark Confidant.
So both players, looks like we're going to be taking at least one mulligan here on Patrick's side. On Martin's side, he looks to be keeping his 7. Again, we'll be bringing up the Allurn cards for you guys during the match. We'll probably start off by bringing up Allurn so you guys can actually see what that does. It is a interesting card from the set. I think it's Stronghold.
Tempest.
Tempest?
Yes.
Okay. It is a enchantment for 2 green, and it lets you play. It lets both players. It's symmetrical. Play creature spells that cost 3 or less for free at instant speed.
Yes.
So they can play them whenever they want to. And so this particular deck is able to take advantage of that, as we are going to see a Gitaxian Probe from Martin looking at Patrick's 5-card hand, which is fairly reasonable for 5 cards.
Yep. Mother of Runes, a Source of Plowshares, a Liliana, Marsh Flats, and a Scrubland.
And so once Martin is able to actually get the ball rolling on an Allurn, that's when the show starts, and we're able to get into it deeper for you guys.
So Dead Guy Ale popularized, I think the highest profile tournament was Chris Pikula doing well with that at a Legacy Grand Prix many years ago. And it's always kind of been around the edges of the format, powered mostly by how awesome Hymn to Torak is. And then it has just a lot of broad, efficient answers to a lot of the rest of the format has. So the deck is not powerful insofar as it's not playing a ton of powerful stuff, but it's consistent, it's very disruptive, and the cards are all individually very productive. Lingering Souls also being a recent addition to this archetype.
And quite a good one.
Yep. Fitting in very nicely with a attrition mid-range equipment. I mean, it kind of does. It fits in nicely with all the pieces of what the deck is trying to do. So,
as we are going to see a Misty Rainforest here from Martin. He's already knocked himself down to 17, searching on Underground Sea. One of the things that Martin does have in his hand is Cabal Therapy. That is obviously a card that works incredibly well with Gitaxian Probe. Cabal Therapy, a very popular card from years past.
yes.
At one time, many believed to be one of the best cards in this particular format.
Yeah, I remember when that card first came in, Gerard Fabiano was a huge advocate of it for our extended Pro Tour testing. Fortunately, all the decks that he wanted to put it in kind of stunk, and so we never really got anywhere with that. But he was definitely correct that this card was and is insane.
Yeah, if you are a sniper, this is the card for you.
Gitaxian Probe is, as Jerry T would refer to it, as the training wheels.
Yes, yes. Some people, they just know
Yep.
what's in their opponent's hand. So we'll see exactly what Martin is going to choose here, and he is going to select.
Liliana.
Is that Liliana he selected? Okay.
Yep.
A little bit of glare there, so I wasn't 100% sure. We see a Mother of Runes and a Bitter Blossom for Patrick's draw step.
Those Bitter Blossom into Mother Runes and Bitter Blossom is a reasonable start for this deck, but to beat a Lauren, he's really going to have to find his Inquisitions and Hymns pretty quickly.
As we're going to see a Coiling Oracle here from from Martin. Patrick taking a look. It's on screen for you guys as well. Creature type Snake, Elf, Druid.
Yeah.
You don't see the triple creature type too often.
Well, Druid is more of a profession than a creature type.
Oh, my apologies. Thank you for the clarification.
That's okay.
That's why you're here.
Yeah.
So we see a Marsh Flats here from Patrick, bringing him down to 19. We're probably going to see a turn 2 Bitter Blossom here, unless he drew something else as good, but it's difficult to draw something as good as Bitter Blossom.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it's worth it if it's him, but even if it was him, I'd probably still lead with Bitter Blossom here. Him would be attractive if he was down to a few cards in hand, or if you had any information. But oh, he drew Inquisition, so I guess we're gonna see what's going on here.
I still think that I agree with you. Even if it was him, I think I would still cast Bitter Blossom just to get it online. And I feel the same way with Inquisition as the draw step. As Martin is going to reveal his hand, you're going to see another Coiling Oracle. You're going to see a card you're familiar with in Brainstorm, and then some cards you're not probably that familiar with in Dreamstalker an Imperial Recruiter, and an Parasitic Strix, which is, oddly enough, the win condition for this deck. Imperial Recruiter on screen from you guys. It is from Portal 3 Kingdoms, and it is able to search out a creature with power no greater than 2, and you reveal it and you put it into your hand. And that is part of the chaining that is done with Allurn once it's in play. You can actually play the Imperial Recruiters for free and start chaining through your deck.
Yes. Imperial Recruiter finds some combination of Cavern Harpy and Dreamstalker, which allows you to loop. And then Parasitic Strix, Cavern Harpy allows you to just burn your opponent out.
Correct. So you're going to see Parasitic Strix on the screen. You need to control a black permanent, and if you do, target player loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. The black permanent that Martin will control when attempting to go off is the Cavern Harpy that Patrick just brought up. There is one copy, and Cavern Harpy is there on the screen for you guys to see exactly what that does. And when it comes into play, of course, you return a blue or black creature you control under his hand, preferably Parasitic Strix.
Yes.
And you loop that way.
So, based on the speed at which Patrick is resolving this Inquisition, I have a feeling that he's not familiar with this archetype.
Correct.
Because if you are familiar with Allurn, this hand is a... I mean, the Cabal Therapy Coiling Oracle is sort of a dead giveaway, but certainly, even if you thought there was some chance he's some weird kind of attrition deck, now, you know, all the information's out there. He takes Brainstorm, which I think is a fine take here. It's basically between Brainstorm and Imperial Recruiter.
I agree.
And since he can cast one but not the other...
You see Martin does draw a Forest for the turn. Probably going to lead off again with another Coiling Oracle. And that's exactly what we do see here. He's going to reveal a Brainstorm. So no harm, no foul there with the Inquisition of Kozilek. Martin with a Forest for his draw step, so that will probably join us. And then an attack will not be so good with Mother of Runes being active.
Another nice element about this Allurn deck is in some of these attrition matchups, if you naturally draw some of the pieces, they're actually good at just sort of generating card advantage and making you more durable to hymns and inquisitions. Like he can start Dreamstalkering his Coiling Oracles and sort of build up a base of a saturation of cards that way.
Sure.
So Allurn is a little bit more robust against these sort of decks than a lot of other combo decks are, because it can actually generate some amount of card advantage if the game is slow, whereas a lot of these combo decks kind of get ripped up by the Inquisition hymn type sequences.
As we are going to see a Bitter Blossom now here from Patrick. He's passing the turns. He has a Swords of Plowshares and a Vindicated in his hand. Martin is going to draw his card. We are going to see a Swamp for his draw step.
So here, for example, he can Dreamstalker his Coiling Oracle and go again. Oh no, he's missing... Sorry, he needs a second blue. He needs a second blue. Assume we're going to leave with Brainstorm, because if we find a red source of mana here, we can also Imperial Recruiter. We found a couple fetch lands and a Force of Will.
And Force of Will be able to protect himself from swords, but when going off through one sword is actually quite easy. It's the second one that's a little bit more difficult.
Well, can't you just go Imperial Recruiter for all your Imperial Recruiters?
Correct.
Then go get a Dreamstalker?
Correct.
Then Dreamstalker for Imperial Recruiter, Dreamstalker Imperial Recruiter, go again, and then they can... What are you worried about then? Then they can plow your Dreamstalker with it? That doesn't even do anything, right?
So when you're going off with Allurn in play, you get all 4 Imperial Recruiters, you get Dreamstalker, Dreamstalker comes into play, you return the Imperial Recruiter, you search for your other Dreamstalker, then you have the second Dreamstalker in play. So you're always going to be fine against one sword. It's the second one that makes it a little more difficult to go off. That's all.
Okay. Yeah, it seems that even when you have that set up, I'm not sure how the second swords matter. Like
it's all about timing and activations between Cavern Harpy and stuff like that. So it can be a little bit difficult.
Because Cavern Harpy is a pretty durable way of going off, because you can always just like unsummon it itself in response and go again if they have something to break it up. But the deck is awfully durable once it actually has its engine set up.
Correct. So we see Martin resolving his Brainstorm, figuring out his game plan here. The only card that he needs right now to finish going off is the Allurn itself, which he's not been able to find, but the fetch land is going to clear some things away.
The Allurn deck also plays a single copy of Venser's Shaper Savant. That's to get it out of some jams like a white ley line or random, meddling mage, some random permanents that can actually stop you from going off, because the deck is basically all in on Baleful Strix as its engine, and so the one Venser can clean up anything that's sort of left over.
Yes.
And this is I think the powerful thing about the Allurn deck is Martin's in like really no big rush to go off. For example, right now he's thinking about Imperial recruiting for. He's not going to get a Red Sword, so I guess he's not recruiting. But he could be, for example, recruiting for Eternal Witness and Eternal Witnessing back a Brainstorm or a Cabal Therapy. Like, he can actually withstand a lot of disruption on the opposing side.
And we are going to see a Dreamstalker here returning a Coiling Oracle.
So that gives him another a blue card to pitch to Force of Will, and if nothing too dangerous is happening from Patrick's side, another draw or another land drop.
And what makes Dreamstalker important to going off with the combo is that it returns a permanent you control to its owner's hand. It's not return target permanent. So it is able to dodge a Swords to Plowshares rather easily, along with Path to Exile and other spot removal spells.
Yeah, so you can get all your Imperial recruiters in play, then put Dreamstalker into play, and then just say, okay, are you doing anything? If they have a random removal spell, it's not significant.
As we're going to see an Inquisition of Kozilek here. Off the top for Patrick, Martin, of course, has a Force of Will, a Coiling Oracle, an Imperial Recruiter, and a Misty Rainforest in his hand. He can Force of Will this if he wants to, especially because he has an idea of what's in Patrick's hand from the beginning Cataxian Probe. And there are arguments to be made about Force of Willing this here with the Coiling Oracle, because if he top decks Allurn, then Patrick is dead, which he's going to opt to do.
Also, the best card in his hand is Imperial Recruiter, so he definitely wants to just be able to keep that as well.
It is a 2-card combo deck. He has one of the cards. Now he has an additional copy of Imperial Recruiter. And you're going to see him search out here. He's starting with Misty Rainforest. He does have a Taiga in his deck to be able to search for, so he can actually hardcast his Imperial Recruiter and search for whatever he sees fit.
The rarely seen Underground Sea Taiga deck.
Ah, yes.
Not a common combination.
So he's going to search here with Imperial Recruiter. Wouldn't be surprised if we see an Eternal Witness here.
Yep.
He can also search for Venser, Shaper Savant. Again, it has to be 2 power or less. Casting cost, not the issue here.
Yeah. I would err on the side, I think, of getting the Eternal Witness, because Venser doesn't do anything really against the Mother Runes, and Patrick's not really taxed on mana, nor is the game going to end particularly soon. And Eternal Witness is just a pretty powerful tool to get against a deck like Dead Guy Ale.
It looks like that's what he's going to opt for. Keep in mind also that he does have the Cabal Therapy still in his graveyard. He does know that Patrick has a Swords to Plowshares and a Mystery card that we, and you guys know at home, is a Vindicate. But if Martin deems that Swords to Plowshares to be an issue, he can certainly take care of it at a moment's notice.
So we're going to get a Bitter Blossom trigger here.
Another fairy coming into play. You see a Verdant Catacombs drawn. So Vindicate is online, as you see Patrick scanning the board state for Martin, deciding, am I going to cast this? If I am, what am I going to cast it on?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that, I think the most logical thing is probably to try to cut off a source of mana, but now that he knows that Martin just got Eternal Witness, it's probably just not worth casting, period. I guess Patrick has come to the same conclusion.
So we're going to see an Eternal Witness right now.
Getting back Brainstorm.
Eternal Witness, 5th Dawn uncommon, a staple of the standard formats that it was in.
Yes.
Seen a little bit less play in both Modern and Legacy, but at the time, one of the most powerful cards you could have been playing.
Yeah, Legacy is often a bit too fast for a card like Eternal Witness, but the raw power of that card is definitely very high. And here it's very nice because it can facilitate, it can work as either an engine piece or just a way of recovering against disruption.
As we see another Swords of Plowshares here drawn for Patrick, and in come the Bitter Blossom tokens.
Now that the Brainstorm has been cast, oh sorry, the Eternal Witness has been cast, there's more of an argument for vindicating one of the lands, I guess, but he's going to pass on that.
Martin's hand being a Brainstorm, Imperial Recruiter, and 2 fetch lands, so he'll be able to clear with this Brainstorm. And he does hit fetch land, Cabal Therapy, so he is having some difficulty finding an Allurn right now.
Yeah.
And the deck has a decent amount of manipulation. He has 4 Brainstorms. He also has the Eternal Witness to rebuy Brainstorm as he has. 4 Coiling Oracles, and 4 copies of Intuition as well. So he's just looking for one of those cards, or just an actual Allurn.
Yeah. Fetching out a Bayou. So I think we're gonna Imperial Recruiter for Dreamstalker, and Dreamstalker our Eternal Witness, as I believe the line from here. It's not, I mean, if you, how does it matter if both of the Dreamstalkers were to die?
Yes.
So that is actually a risk?
Yes, very much so.
Okay, so we got the Plows, and there's a Vindicate left. Now this is so he knows that Vindicate's the last card. So I think there's an argument for flashing back the Therapy on the Vindicate, sacking your Imperial Recruiter. That way you can recruit for Dreamstalker your Witness, and have Imperial Recruiter as an option to get back with the Witness. You're probably getting Brainstorm.
I mean, that's a decent option.
Does he just need to sit with the Imperial Recruiter in his hand to like be able to start going off, or does that?
I mean, it is. He does need Imperial Recruiter in his hand to be able to start facilitating the chain to go off. At this point, we know that Patrick has a Vindicate. He has nothing else. I would just be comfortable sitting here and just saying go. The pressure isn't so much that I feel like I would need to rush.
Yeah, and Allurn is just game over, right?
Yeah.
If he draws it, it's not like the Vindicate breaks up anything in a meaningful way.
You see a Wasteland here drawn.
So now this actually does matter because he can actually Wasteland and Vindicate and cut him out of blue.
Yes.
And then Intuition is no longer a live draw.
Depending on what is in Martin's hand, I'm not sure if he's holding a land or not, but he can cut Martin's blue sources that are in play.
He's just saying go. I feel like you have to, I mean, the game's not going to go on for that much longer. It's possible Patrick just doesn't realize that he could be dead at a moment's notice.
Yeah.
Because Martin's board is so innocuous, you know?
So we see Martin gets knocked down to, I believe, 7 from that attack. Martin's draw step for the turn was a Venser Shaper Savant. Venser not going to be able to bounce any of the Bitter Blossom tokens because there's an active Mother Runes on the table. So Martin has to figure out basically which of my permanents do I want to bounce. And I think of the options available, that Eternal Witness is likely the best one. And he doesn't have to bounce it right away, of course.
Well, there's a mana efficiency issue here. Like, he can't... Ideally, he would like to, you know, bounce his Witness. If he bounces his Witness this turn and gets back, because he has a land in hand, he can get back Brainstorm and then have just basically maximum mana going into his next turn to, you know, he can then, if he has 7 mana, he can then, you know, maybe there's a sequence where he Brainstorms into land plus Intuition, and then can go Intuition for Allurn and go from there. But the clock is the same 2 turns either way. So he can afford to crack this fetch line here. It doesn't appreciably change anything. But I feel like as much as possible, he needs to try to use his mana this turn, so he has maximum mana to go searching for whatever the following turn.
Sure, sure. So we're going to see Cabal Therapy here.
We're going to get that Vindicate, I assume. Yeah. The fact that there was an active Therapy in the graveyard is also a reason to just go Vindicate Wasteland, because the creatures that Martin has in play aren't meaningful, so you're just going to lose it anyway.
Those creatures, if they were good creatures, they'd be attacking. Right. They'd be doing something besides just sitting there.
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it? Yes.
Yes. Yes, it is true. In this case, it's very true.
I think I'm no master of this deck, but I think my line is I like Venser getting back Witness getting back Brainstorm Pass.
Pass. Use all your mana.
Yeah.
And then just try to get there.
And then you have a Brainstorm. And you also just probably not targeting the Bitter. Again, the Bitter Blossom is the same. Targeting the Bitter Blossom doesn't do anything because it's the same two-turn clock.
Correct.
Yeah, he's going to get back his Witness.
As we see Venser Shaper Savant on the screen.
And this is why the Wasteland Vindicate thing is such a big deal. He would not have enough mana to have run this play had either of the land destruction effects been played.
Yep. Had his lands been attacked.
All right, he's witnessing for Brainstorm. Yeah. So he has Imperial Recruiter plus Brainstorm. So finding a learn is enough for him to just go.
All right, another Bitter Blossom trigger, knocking Patrick down to 14. And we're going to see exactly what Patrick draws. Discard spell's huge here if he draws one.
Yeah, him.
And he's Stoneforge Mystic.
That is a blank.
That's one of the few times the Stoneforge Mystic is a blank.
Yeah.
But it is right now.
He tapped that 2 mana so fast, I thought it was him.
I thought it was him with the Torek as well.
So I assume we're going to fire off that Wasteland on the Taiga. No, knowing nothing else, I guess we would just fire off on one of his colored mana sources.
We're going to see an attack for 4 here, putting Martin down to 2. So this is the final turn of this particular game.
Oh, he's not going to Wasteland? This is sketchy.
As we see a Dreamstalker drawn.
All right, so
we're going to lead with a Brainstorm. It has to be a learn in this top 3. Intuition.
Yeah, Intuition's enough. Because
1,
he didn't
2,
Wasteland.
3.
Yep. He didn't. If
Intuition
he
is
had
actually
exactly
enough.
He had yeah.
Martin's going to go down to
exactly 1.
All right, so I'm going to Intuition now.
Yep.
Yep. If Patrick had used his Wasteland at any point, and again, that would have taken care of this game. And he is going to take a look at Alurin, and so are we. And what a lot of people forget with Alurin, now people piling Alurin obviously know this, but what the opponent sometimes forgets is that their creatures are free too. Yep. As we're going to see the Imperial Recruiter chain begin. Imperial Recruiter is going to go in the stack. It's going to search for another Imperial Recruiter. That's going to go in the stack. Martin's going to search for another Imperial Recruiter.
I don't know if we have any left.
I believe he has 1 copy left. And he's just going to move all the cards to the front of his deck. He's going to get the 3rd Imperial Recruiter. Imperial Recruiter is going to search for a Dreamstalker. Dreamstalker is going to come into play. It's going to bounce Imperial Recruiter. Imperial Recruiter is going to come back into play. Trigger is going to search for Cavern Harpy.
Yep.
Cavern Harpy is going to come into play the gating ability. As you're going to see Patrick take a look at it. It's on the screen for you guys as well. The gating ability is going to return the Dreamstalker back to Martin's hand in a moment. Dreamstalker will come back into play. It'll return Imperial Recruiter. Recruiter will come into play. It'll search for Parasitic Strix. Parasitic Strix will go on the stack. He does control a black creature in Cavern Harpy. It'll deal Patrick 2. It'll gain Martin 2. And then Martin will be able to pick up the Cavern Harpy from the pay 1 life ability and start the loop.
Okay. So Martin Goldman
On the last possible turn.
Brainstorming into intuition with the exact right amount of mana.
Winner, winner. Chicken dinner.
Yes.
You have Patrick's deck list in front of you, and clearly he's playing against a combo deck, which I think his deck is pretty well set up against. I mean, any deck with him to Torak and Inquisition and Kozilek, I would feel are pretty good against combo decks.
Yeah, it's okay. It's hard because some of the reactive elements don't really work against it. So the hand disruption is certainly good, but you can't actually break up the combo really that easily once it's actually going, which limits a lot of the possible interaction points that you have. For example, he has Disenchant, and Disenchant's like, you can actually, I mean, you can use it in response to a piece being cast.
Sure.
But the deck can go at instant speed if he has a piece, a redundant piece, and you had to leave up 2 mana, which is pretty tough. He has 2 copies of Duress, which are okay, but again, this deck is actually a fairly creature-heavy combo deck, so Duress isn't as awesome as it is against decks like Storm. Still something I would bring in. I'm not actually sure. Does Allure cast the card?
Yes, you are actually casting the card. The cards can be countered off of Allure. It does not put them into play.
If there's one Canonist is
awesome.
Awesome. Okay, so we have that as well.
Okay, so he definitely has some options available to him. Looking over on this side for Martin, Martin has 4 copies of Thoughtseize. That's not really the way that you want to go about trying to beat this matchup, in my opinion, though it may be better than Force of Will, being proactive instead of reactive. Also combos quite well with Cabal Therapy, of course.
Yeah.
2 copies to go for the Throat. Doesn't even take care of either the Sorin Canonist, though he probably doesn't know that Patrick is going to be bringing those in. 2 copies of Fire Spout, not really so much. We see a copy of Kataki's War Wage, clearly not for this matchup. Yix's Jailer, not really for this matchup. Either Sworn Canonist, interesting to see that in his sideboard, but not for this matchup. A Peacekeeper, which is not for this matchup, it's for Merfolk. A Harmonic Sliver. I mean, he did see Stoneforge Mystic.
Yeah.
And I believe Stoneforge Mystic that game searched for an Umazawa's Jit.
Yes.
Alternatively, he also did see Bitter Blossom, so I could see Harmonic Sliver coming in, and then Lawan Cephalid Empress, clearly a card for the Merfolk matchup. So not a lot of cards to board in here, oddly enough, but I think that Martin's just base of his deck is pretty good against what Patrick's trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for Patrick to close the game out quickly, and the Alluring can go from 0 to 60, and like just like that, you know, and that's as opposed to a lot of combo decks that need a saturation of pieces. I mean, you know, Storm is the most obvious example of that, but there's others as well. The Alluring deck isn't like that, and it also has enough card drawing and durability against attrition elements that it, you know, Dead Guy I feel for the most part has a pretty reasonable combo matchup, but not against this one so much.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree.
And even, I mean, even just the Alluring pieces are so good at just cluttering up the ground. I mean, that slows down the game a lot too. You know, you have the Dreamstalkers of 1/5.
Just being annoying, being in the way.
Yeah.
Which is, definitely something that this deck can do that a lot of other combo decks can't. Another interesting thing about this particular combo deck is that even if, you know, it doesn't have the combination of Alluring and Imperial Recruiter just at the ready, this is the kind of deck that can play Alluring and he can play his combo piece, which is Alluring, and just put it in play. Yep. And then he can draw into the other piece of the combo and then be able to go off immediately, or draw into Intuition to find the other Imperial Recruiters, or what have you. Now, yes, Patrick does have Vindicate to be able to break that up, but it's just one of the bonuses of playing this particular combo deck.
Yes. So Alluring has a lot of different, I mean, not only does the deck go off in a very different manner, but the things that it is powerful against and weak against is a lot different than a lot of other combo decks.
As we are going to see both players shuffling here, you see the smile on Patrick's face. A lot of people, you know, there are a lot of people who play Legacy, you know, just, there are some people, hey, the SCG is in town, I kind of want to play, and they come up and play that. There's a lot of people who don't know what Alluring does.
Yeah, I mean, that deck, if you haven't, you know, it's one thing when you Inquisition your opponent and you see Dark Ritual. It's like, even if you don't know the rest of their hand, you can sort of piece together a narrative about what your opponent's trying to do in the game. When you see a bunch of, like, cards that you like often cut from your draft deck, just a handful of those creatures, it's much harder to sort of deduce what's going on unless you're invested in the format. So, but I assume that you know, Patrick's going to be in a much better position to play the matchup now that he understands exactly what happens.
Yeah, he has an idea of what this deck is trying to accomplish.
You see this Imperial Recruiter in the guy's hand, and it's like, all right, I guess maybe he gets like another Eternal Witness and gets Like a can, I don't know, whatever. And now you know it's like, oh, if he has Imperial Recruiter in his hand and plays Learn, I just die.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's actually valuable information to have.
Yeah.
That changes how I sort of go about my business.
Yeah. So Patrick is going to be on the play this game. He did take a mulligan, I believe, to 5 last game, I believe. Maybe
It looked like he had a 5-card hand.
Yeah, it looked like he kept a 5-card hand in that game. So hopefully he'll be able to keep 7, be a little bit better off.
Now the weakness that a Learn has, I believe, is that it's just rather slow as a combo deck.
Yes.
A lot of decks are significantly more explosive. It wouldn't surprise me if this deck's combo matchup was actually not particularly good. It doesn't present a lot of disruption, and it is pretty slow.
You know, there are things that a Learn can do to speed its deck up. You can play Birds of Paradise over some of the slots. You can play some of the double lands like City of Traders or Ancient Tomb or Havenwood Battleground.
Yes.
If you want to be able to speed it up to have a better combo matchup. But overall, I definitely agree with you. You are a slower combo deck, but by being slower, you have more. You're better against hate.
Yes.
Basically, you're more resilient. That's what I'm looking for.
So I think we're going to see a turn to Dark Confidant here. All right. Yeah, you want to get that thing because he has no disrupt. I think his hand's just Dark Confidant, Stoneforge Mystic, another. He needs to find a piece of disruption as fast as possible.
Yeah. See Martin's hand.
He's got a plow.
Okay. Martin's hand is very hand heavy. He has a Cavern Harpy. He has a Brainstorming. He has an Intuition. But other than that, his hand is lands. So we're going to see a Verdant Catacombs, another land drawn.
Thinking about his land drop here. This is unlike a lot of Legacy decks. This is actually a deck where the fetch lands you're playing matter because he has, like we said, Underground Sea Taiga. So you actually have fetches that don't overlap with all your lands in your deck, which is uncommon with a lot of Legacy decks. It's often just doesn't actually matter.
So we're going to see Dark Confidant reveal Plains. That's a free one.
On the house.
He's going to
just
draw
drew Duress. Pretty nice. I mean, I assume we're gonna brainstorm this in response. We might actually not find anything because again, this is a very creature-heavy deck.
So we're going to see a Brainstorm draw from Martin, an Eternal Witness. And it looks like potentially 2 more lands.
I think he might have. I'm not positive he hit here.
Now
I think the Intuition was the only spell in his hand, right?
Yeah. The key here for Martin is, even though he is having some trouble, getting its footing, as Duress is going to resolve here, and it's going to see.
It's a creature party.
Yeah, it's a creature land party of 1, 2, 3. I think that's 4 fetch lands on a tropical island.
Yep.
Intuition is hidden. Intuition's going to be able to find the copies of a Learn that he needs, and then he can actually again put a Learn into play naked, and then just hope things break his way for his draw steps. At least that's what it looks like his game plan is currently going to be.
So how much does Umezawa's chip matter? Does it have 4 counters on it, and now it's actually a thing?
Yeah.
Okay. That's actually the funny thing about the Allurant thing. I think we might have forgotten to attack with Confidant.
No, we haven't gotten that far yet.
Oh, okay. I thought he was motioning that this turn was over. So that's actually the thing about putting out the naked Allurant is like Patrick has a Stoneforge in his hand, so he might be able to like instant speed Stoneforge, go get Jit equip that turn.
Sure.
And then the Jit's an issue. So you need a Venser. If they have a Jit with 4 counters, you need a Venser or Disenchanted or something to be able to go?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. A Jit with 4 counters can take care of every Imperial Recruiter, is the issue.
So is a card like Pyrokinesis a good sideboard option?
It's a fine sideboard option. I don't think it's a great one, but it's a good one.
All right, I'm just gonna pass.
Just because of Force of Will and they're being discarded.
There's a Jit. And the second Confidant. A Marsh Flats. So I assume we'll just go Jit equip here.
I would be surprised if that wasn't the play.
Yep.
All right.
Pretty good.
Yes. No.
Is he thinking about intuitioning for force?
Okay.
No, yeah. That seems like very hard to win from that position.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we just got to take our lumps here.
Yep. Let's see 2 Jit counters here. We're going to see Martin sack both of these fetch lands. We'll see exactly what lands he wants to search up. He can do a little bit to make himself wasteland proof, but you're probably going to see like a taiga and then another, maybe a tropical island, so you can have 2 green to be able to cast a Lurin.
Let's see the spells he has here. So the only difference is black allows him to cast his Cabal Therapy, and red allows him to cast an Imperial Recruiter he draws.
Yeah. And he does also have, as we know, just a grip full of lands.
So like Bayou Trop, is that correct? Oh, he's just going to be... I guess he's just making himself wasteland proof?
He could go. He could be going basic hunting.
Okay, so yeah, he actually can just make himself wasteland proof. And he's got enough... Patrick, with the old, hey, failed to find, all right.
Yeah, and Martin just mouths to him, no. Don't touch my deck.
All right, and now we're going to Intuition.
Martin said, that resolves, right? I'm pretty sure you're just a black-white deck. That's good.
Yep.
Now, we know that Patrick has a Stoneforge Mystic in his hand. We've already seen him search out Umezawa's shit. Does he have... I'm going to assume there's a Batterskull somewhere in his deck.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it got sided out because it's
yeah, not so hot here.
A stink machine in this matchup. But
for those of you at home, that's a machine of stink.
Another weird thing is, like, it is actually something of a risk to run out a naked Allurin in this matchup if you don't have the pieces to go off because of Vindicate.
I agree.
Yeah, it's not like a lot of matchups where it's just like, all right, put it in and let's go.
Yeah, it's not a lock to stay alive on the board.
It's a huge risk.
Martin takes a draw step. He's going to draw another land. He's been very good at that today.
But again, if his Allurin sticks, he can go get he can Eternal Witness off of his Allurin, go get Brainstorm and have a bunch of mana to operate with and not be that far away from just, from there, an Intuition or an Imperial Recruiter allows him to do his thing. The risk here is that Dark Confidant connecting again.
So the risk here is exactly what you brought up, which is 4 counters.
Yeah.
On Umezawa's Jit. And the reason that's the risk is because Martin's going to likely just play his Allurin this turn, and then he plays Allurin this turn, he has the opportunity to kill Patrick next turn.
Yeah.
Because he can flash an Eternal Witness, attempt to block, depending on what Patrick wants to do, and then he just brings back Intuition with Eternal Witness, Intuitions for Imperial Recruiters, and tries to go off that way. So he can go off next turn.
Yep. We're risking a Vindicate.
Yeah, basically what he's risking, he's risking a Vindicate, as we're going to see a Stoneforge Mystic here. He's risking a Vindicate, and he is risking Patrick playing correctly with Umezawa's Jit.
Yep.
Which is a card that he's going to have difficulty with anyway.
All right, so we're going to go find... Let's see if Batterskull's still in our deck, I suppose. Sure.
There it is.
There it is. Gonna gain some life.
Gonna attack with Vigilance.
Yep.
Beat your Merfolk deck by itself. That's what we're gonna do.
Not just Merfolk.
A couple others too.
Oh yeah.
Burn Boy.
Yeah, I've been touched up by that card once or twice. It's got some notches in its belt on me. All right, Confidant. Himatorak. Second Confidant. Swamp. Draw step. Another Stoneforge Mystic. Ooh, that's a freebie. That's a Squire on the house.
Himatorak.
So yeah, now this is pretty awkward because Martin kind of has to act now, or just is just willing to risk it, which is fine here.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason to act now, right? I mean, if he plays Witness, gets his card back, then the card he gets back can be hit. So there's a 3.
Oh, ouch!
That's ugly. That makes it harder to win.
Ow.
Oh. Oh no, I don't know.
That was rough. That was rough.
All right, I'm trying to figure out, now that that is in the graveyard, now that Cavern Harpy is hit the bin, I'm going to try to figure out what Martin can do around the situation, because Harpy is integral to being able to go off, as we see. So we see Jit counters being removed, giving...
Is he pumping?
Yeah, he's giving Confidant.
No, Yeah, he's on. No, he said
No
it's
pumps?
4.
Okay, leaving it at 4, playing it safe, no rush.
Yeah, you can just go for it next turn or whatever. He's attacking 4 lethal next turn with the Batter Skull. So.
Yep. Martin draws a Force of Will. Martin's gonna pick up his cards. Yeah.
That's a pretty good him.
Not a bad him. Not a bad him.
Wasn't bad.
Yeah, Martin shaking. Yeah. I think Martin's hand was 5 lands, 2 spells.
Yeah.
Pew,
6.
pew.
He had 6. He had 6.
It's 6 cards, yeah. Pew
Yeah.
pew. Take care of that.
Oh well.
Hey, easy does it.
Can't win them all.
Easy does it. Him to Torak, heck of a Magic card.
Yep. Sometimes it's just double coercion. That's not a bad deal for 2.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
We gotta get that. We gotta get that Batter Skull out of that deck, I think. Well, I mean, it's kind of whatever. He's got a lot of kind of junky do nothings in this matchup.
Yeah, he really does.
Like the Elspeth. It's not too sweet.
You don't like that here? You don't like +3/+3 and flying?
I mean, it's a good clock or whatever. Indestructible to your squadron at some point. It's a good deal.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly not ideal. I understand what you're saying.
Just make a 1/1.
Yeah.
Martin's deck's got a bunch of 1/1s in it too, so how does he attrition you out when you just have Elspeth going?
It's a 1/1 party.
Yeah. So where do you think what do you think Martin has actually brought in here?
I think that Martin, we didn't see any sideboard cards that particular game. I really think the only card that he's going to bring in is the Harmonic Sliver. It takes care of Umezawa Shit, it takes care of the Batter Skull that Patrick has left in it. It also takes care of the Bitter Blossom that we saw game 1. Those are all cards that we know are still in Patrick's deck, and Harmonic Sliver can be searched for via Imperial Recruiter, so we can go through the slow chain of finding an answer to the problematic cards. So
Yep.
I feel like that's definitely in Martin's deck. The other stuff, I don't think he brought anything else in. He certainly didn't bring this Supreme Verdict in from his sideboard. I think it's safe to say that that's not joining us.
The Supreme Verdict seems challenging to cast.
Ambitious is a word. Ambitious is a word you could use.
Yeah. That seems not easy to cast.
But hey, Legacy,
Yeah, whatever.
dual lands,
God
fetch
dream.
lands, you can do
Yeah.
anything.
There's no accountability. You
No.
just do whatever you want.
That's right.
There's no rules.
All right, so we're going to see Patrick is going to take a mulligan down to 6.
Although one of the charms of Deck IAL is that it's pretty mulligan resilient. You have a stable mana base, so you don't just draw these hands that can't cast things. And you have, between Stoneforge Mystic, Dark Confidant, your Planeswalkers, and him, you have a lot of ways to just recoup card advantage. So.
Yeah.
One of the better mulliganing decks of the format, I would say. These kind of matchups are, to me, just like the charm of the format, right? It's these two kind of wacky fringe decks, and there's a lot of play between the two of them.
Yeah.
And this is just one of the random matches going on in the room. And
Yeah,
this story is being told, 50 other, 60, 70 other tables,
This is what makes Legacy what I feel the best format in Magic. Martin likes playing Learn, and so that's what he's going to play.
Yep.
In Standard, you can't just play a deck you like to play, because you're going to get run out of the building by Thragtusk or whatever. Because we're going to see a Cabal Therapy here.
All right.
Naming Wasteland?
Wasteland.
That's not going to work.
All right, Inquisition and two Wastelands. Wasteland's pretty good against Martin's mana base here, because he needs to get a bunch of mana, and his deck is a lot of duels.
Yeah. Martin does have 4 basics in his deck. He does have 2 forests, 1 island, 1 swamp to go along with his 10 fetch lands. So he can definitely search out basics for himself. But looking at Patrick's hand, he could just go wastelanding, or he could hope to draw another mana source to be able to play Dark Confidant on turn 2. But he is just going to try to quote unquote get Martin.
I like it.
Yeah, and Pluto Dust is going to put a stop to that, as we're going to see a Plains here.
Yeah, but the Allure deck is pretty colored mana sensitive. It's not, it's not just an issue of getting to 4. It's being able to get to 4 and cast things along the way.
Understood.
It's not the easiest thing. Although Martin has drawn another fetch land, so he should be able to cobble together.
Considering his options right now, he actually has a Learn Imperial Recruiter, which is the combo in his hand, along with Coiling Oracle and Force of Will for protection, and an Underground Sea as his third land. However, he can just play Coiling Oracle this turn.
Like, what do you think about just getting basic forest, basic island, and coiling?
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate that play. It does put the shields down if he doesn't draw a blue card off a Coiling Oracle, but if he hits a land, then it's a turn 3 kill. So
that is time in round 3. Once again, that is time in round 3. Active player finishes the turn, proceed to the 5-turn rule. That is time in round 3.
he's also considered. Okay, so he's just going to try to overload Wasteland now.
Okay.
He's going to power through it.
I guess the risk here is that he doesn't have a second green mana if he goes Island Forest. Like, he has Underground Sea, so he can actually draw a 4th land and still not be able to cast Alluring.
Yeah. As we're going to see an Intuition revealed. So it's going to put the shield back on. We're going to see.
I assume Stoneforge Mystic because we're worried about Jit.
So that's a ding-dinger.
If I was in Martin's position, I probably, since Patrick's played a Planesseer, I probably would have actually let him Stoneforge and just gotten the Jit, because he still risks, like, Jit being drawn at some point, assuming there's just the one copy in the deck.
Sure. As we see Wasteland, we see another Coiling Oracle. Oracle is going to reveal another Coiling Oracle. That looks like that's going to be Martin's turn. Looks like a third Swords to Plowshare is drawn for Patrick. Coiling Oracle here from Martin. Parasitic Strix to the draw step. Swamp coming into play. Martin looking for one more green source to wrap this one up now.
And giving him a taste with the Coiling Oracle.
That's right. Not seen often.
Yeah.
But get in there, Snake Elf Druid.
All right, so
We're
we can
gonna
go
see
get
Marsh Flats.
So not only does Martin need a land, he needs a green land.
He needs a green land, but it's not necessary for him. He doesn't need to win this turn.
I mean, Dark Confidant is going to get online. You know, there's certainly a risk Patrick can cobble together enough disruption elements.
I mean, if Martin cares enough, he can just Force of Will this. If he's that scared of Dark Confidant, he can just cast Force of Will.
Just going to let it go.
He draws a Brainstorm. Martin has the option now that he can Brainstorm, put some garbage back, garbage including Parasitic Strix in his hand, or he can just Intuition for lands. Alternatively, he can just Intuition for Cabal Therapy. He's thinking about giving him a taste again.
Yeah, just give him the business.
Just one, too. Which I feel like it's either 2 or none, but just one.
Yeah. Just see where he's at.
Yep.
I want to see what kind of man he is, so I just sent one Coiling Oracle.
We're going to see him to Torak here. Followed up with
another him that he can't cast.
Okay.
We're gonna plow. We're not gonna plow the snakes.
See Intuition here from Martin.
I think he's just gonna get a bunch of fetches and find a 4th mana and a second green source and go about his business.
Yep. That's what it looks like to me too. I put those right in there. You're gonna be searching for that forest in a minute anyway.
Yeah.
This guard draws Intuition. And it's time for Fireworks.
Yep.
Because he will be able to go off through 2 swords. And this Force of Will is going to make it even easier.
Yep.
And here we go. Imperial Recruiter put into play. Martin is going to search for a second Imperial Recruiter.
Put that into play.
And you see him moving the other creatures towards the front. Imperial Recruiter number 3 searches for Imperial Recruiter number 4.
So yeah, now we're totally covered against Swords to Plowshares.
Dreamstalker comes in, picks up Imperial Recruiter because it does not target. Recruiter comes back in. Dreamstalker number 2 picks up Recruiter. Recruiter comes in. We see a Cavern Harpy. And so now this is the moment where double swords could occur, targeting both Harpies, targeting both Dreamstalkers to break it up.
Well, yeah, but he could still draw his whole deck with Coiling Oracle, right?
That's correct. He could draw up to, he can draw 17 with Coiling Oracle. You have to pay a life for each one.
It's a life, yeah.
So with Cavern Harpy on the stack, this is where you get the opportunity to try to jump in with the Swords of Plowshares.
So assuming that he could still, like, even in that scenario, he can still Oracle to try to find the Strix and go off, like, manual style?
Yeah, and he has Strix in his hand.
Yeah.
So because he has Parasitic Strix in his hand, it doesn't really matter.
But it could matter if he didn't have the Oracles or whatever.
Correct. So now Cavern Harpy is in play, gating ability on the stack. Parasitic Strix goes onto the stack.
I have bad news for you, Patrick. There's nothing to be done.
No, there's no way for your swords to interact with what's going on right now.
We'll give it the old college try.
Yep. I will pay a life. Cavern Harpy is going to let me bob and weave, rock and roll, finish you off. And I believe in a moment here we are going to see a hand extended, and he's like, I'm going to do that a bunch in response to your swords. And you're never going to kill my guys. I'm machine gun you out.
Yep.
Martin Goldman-Kirst.
2-1 over Patrick Wong, piloting Dead Guy Ale. A sufficiently off-the-wall start to our Legacy Day.
Best kind.
Yep.
Best kind of start, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's no stacks versus death and taxes, which was definitely the best start you and I believe, ever had.
Yeah, well,
to
give us